What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the season finale of Twisted Metal. Just got done watching episodes 10, 11, and 12, and let me tell you something. That was a masterpiece. Now, I don't know if masterpieces, I look at masterpieces as not necessarily perfect, okay? I think there's a difference between something being perfect and being a masterpiece. And the reason I say that is I don't think everything is perfect. I think specifically the final episode, man, oh man, they were running through some stuff. And there's really one thing in particular that I wasn't a huge fan of I think the speed of the show, of, how it happened. I'll talk about that in this video, but overwhelmingly, holy God, like seriously, this was an incredible set of 3 episodes. I'm not a huge fan of breaking things up, especially in the way that this show did it. First 3 and then a bunch of groups of 2 episodes. But these 3 episodes deserve to be with each other. You had just a little bit of downtime, I think, in episode 11. But I mean, episode 10 was pedal to the metal. Episode 11 was mainly pedal to the metal. Actually, insane amounts of it, especially after the downtime. And episode 12 wrapped things up. And I mean, there's just so much to talk about. And it's like, I almost want to skip by like the actual tournament. So they finally did the battle royale, which, I had questions of leading to the entire time. Funny enough, I feel like I did kind of predict it, where it's these slight interpretations of Calypso's rules is what gets these characters kind of out alive, right? He talks about like the last driver or last alive person driving, whatever the verbiage was that he said it right in the beginning, right when he's announcing it. And I thought to myself, okay, so you just need to be in a car, and maybe you have to be alive. Maybe there could be 2 of you in the same car. Those kind of things were going through my head. It's like, all right, are all these characters going to die? And I mean, in reality, quite a few did. I mean, I did not expect, I expected the Grimm Sweet Tooth fight, and that was freaking epic. Grimm dying, he's one of the characters that I actually think is maybe permanently dead, to be honest with you, because, Mike is gone for good, definitely gone for good. But somebody like Axel, being in episode 10, he really, the way that they have him go, to me, especially like with his hands melting to his vehicle, tells me that, and really the end credits scene of episode 12 tells me that you very well could do something where he comes back. I don't really know which direction you would play it, but I mean, there's still something there maybe with him and Mayhem that you can maybe tie together. And I don't know, I feel like he's just a character where it's like, okay, he's maybe, I mean, to be honest with you, he might be the only one, of that group that could come back, because Grimm's gone, Mike is gone, and Raven, I think I like the idea of introducing that there's multiple Ravens. Not that I necessarily need Nev. I mean, I like Nev Campbell quite a bit. I'm a huge Scream fan, but I don't need it. But at the same time, you eliminate like the head Raven. And that was an epic scene. But then it's like, okay, well, you can maybe like continue this and bring in another Raven, or bring in Nev Campbell's Raven, back in, if she wasn't, say, killed off, which they kind of alluded to in the first episode, but you never know for sure, right? I mean, I don't know. They did a really good job. Okay, the actual combat itself, I thought, was excellent. It was fun. It was really just enough, because you have to understand, or at least I understand, this show doesn't feel like the most high budgeted. I watch Peacemaker, and I go back and forth, Peacemaker, Twisted Metal, and I think, yeah, one of them definitely has, a higher budget than the other. And I think Twisted Metal obviously is lower, and you're trying to pick, I think, where to put the money towards. You can't have 12 episodes of car chases or car action, but I think, it was primarily episodes 10 and just, you have to take out your target, that I thought was awesome. It had the high stakes. It does lead, okay, to one of the things in terms of the rushness. The Mayhem thing was something that we had talked about. I mean, if you go watch all of my reviews, which I'm really happy I did this, by the way, every week, because you can kind of see at least my brain trying to analyze each episode. I really thought they could do something like they did with Mayhem, but I thought they would let it linger longer. I didn't love the idea of you killing her off, because she just became such a freaking good character. She was really an amazing character, like, right away. But the dynamic with everybody else, or really with John and Quiet, and then her, was so good. And it's like the way that they did that with Raven, going after Jon but really hitting Mayhem. I guess all I'm asking there, or all I would have asked, again, masterpiece, but is it perfect? I would have preferred to maybe let it linger on, like, could she have died there? Now, that's episode 10. You still got 2 more episodes. Like, I know it's hard to keep that question going, but at the same time, I think it took away from it a little bit, where you see her car crash, and even that was a little bit of a lower, but like, you could kind of tell nobody was in the car, when it hit the thing, but you see her car crash, and there was a part of me, especially because I think they showed Quiet first thing right after, just her face, and I think she does such an amazing job as an actress, and there was a part of me that's just like, you kind of just have this sadness to you for a couple seconds, where you're really feeling a lot of the same emotions that Quiet is in that moment, or at least I did. And then again, I feel like they kind of, not necessarily ruined it, but you cut it short. They cut that moment that I think was really excellently done short by, taking her, or bringing her back to life, basically. Or not even really bringing her back. She never died in the first place, okay? So, I mean, there's not much more to say, I guess, with episode 10. I mean, look, it was cutting whatever fat was left, right? So I like the idea of them going back and forth from this pretty cool tournament, but it doesn't have that many people in it, right? I mean, you take out Vermin, in that thing. So you're eliminating some of that. And then you're also going with Calypso and that group trying to do like the trial, which I think really just actually showed everybody's talent there. I keep saying, like, the actor who plays Calypso, and we've seen him a lot in the last year. He's so freaking good as Calypso. Sweet Tooth was awesome there. Stu was freaking I mean, Stu is always really, really cool, but he was great. Again, I don't know if he needed to lie, and that was, I think, okay. Again, that was a little bit more of that rush. We talked about it on last week's episode, right? Like, this Dave thing and Stu lying, like, it's gonna catch up, but like, how is it gonna happen? I didn't really think it would happen literally immediately, but when Calypso talks about, like, there were 6 contestants, I was like, well, there's way more than 6 of them, and you didn't see Sweet Tooth, the ice cream truck, so it's like, okay, well, where are they? And then they all open up, and even like Sweet Tooth being bound, and he's like, why am I the only one chained? And then Calypso says, you're the only one, like, stupid enough or crazy enough to, like, try something. And he's like, you got me. There was just a lot of really good, because Grimm, Sweet Tooth, and Calypso have some really good back and forth, and so does Stu, to be honest with you. So love that. Episode 10 was insanely good, and it really, I mean, after watching 11, it felt like the appetizer, right, to 11. So then 11 was finishing everything off, like I said, the Grimm Sweet Tooth thing, getting Minion, that was super, like, I didn't get that spoiled for me at all. Obviously there's the tease when Mayhem sees that, kind of situation happening in Calypso's lair, but seeing Minion on screen, really, really cool. Seeing Minion destroy Sweet Tooth, I felt very, very bad, because I freaking love Sweet Tooth. I don't want to see him get destroyed, and he was, they're not going to kill him. So as Minion is beating Sweet Tooth, right, you're like, okay, well, I actually kind of thought he might laugh it off, and then he did laugh it off, but then he's freaking kicked into the steel thing, and, you kind of linger on that, where it's like, okay, that could really be it, but at the same time, it's like, well, you can't take Sweet Tooth out, right? A couple other things I really like. So Stu's wish, oh my god, and a tie-in with Twisted Metal, I believe 1 and 2, right? Because there's endings with different characters. I think the brother-sister duo, where you end up in space. So that was, and I love that. I actually really loved Mayhem's wish of just like finding a place to belong, and I like that they show that without her even getting the wish, because the way they did that cabin kind of arc in the final episode, she did get her wish, to be honest. Like, she really, really did, and that was beautiful. It really, really was. So I love that. And then Stu, this was the classic, okay, we've been waiting for this. Like, your wish is going to be very literal, and it's going to be, you have to word it right. And a lot of these people in their wishes did not word it right. And I love even the way Calypso says, like, are you sure? Because there's no going back after we do this. And then it shows, what Stu's wish was. And as soon as he says it, right, be somewhere away from it all with Mike. And it's like, well, Mike's dead. So he's not, you didn't say like an alive Mike, right? So you're going to be transported somewhere with Mike as a dead person. And then to do space, perfect, right? Away from everything all. I freaking loved it. And the tie-in with the game, so good. Okay, now one thing I'll say, the Mayhem thing was one thing in terms of not letting that linger long enough. I would say this one was probably the worst of what they could have done, because I love it. I love the final shot of Stu screaming and the look of outer space and Mike floating there dead. I mean, it really like almost makes your stomach drop, where you're like, this is it. This is Calypso's game, and this is why he's so freaking cool, and why you should be kind of intimidated and scared of him, right? It's like you have to take these wishes very, very seriously. I mean, to have Stu come back like 10 minutes later, I think was the absolute wrong thing to do. To be honest with you, I know there was like the comedy thing of kind of saving them, in the cabin, and then saying like, come with me if you don't want to die or whatever. Like he said the quote wrong, basically, right? So I did like that, but I think there was a feeling in me when you leave Stu that was very dark, very almost depressing. And I don't know why we couldn't have left it there. And then season 3, because if you recall, I think in Twisted Metal 2, when they do that, they actually attach a rocket to the ship and they actually fly back to Earth to go after Calypso. Same kind of thing. Like Stu wants revenge because he didn't like, the result of his wish. So all those themes are the same. And I wouldn't be surprised if he also did the rocket thing, to come back. And I like that. I like, okay, he could have become resourceful, and he technically said he did, right? Like he smartened up, he became like his own self instead of a sidekick. I like all that. But the thing is, why couldn't you just leave him up there till season 3 and almost have it be like a nice surprise when he's a great character, he's a great actor. Why can't you have it be a surprise that he comes back? So I know I'm lingering on it, but I think that was the biggest error of definitely the 3 episodes and maybe the entire season, because it's like this was the buildup of, we all know Calypso's wish thing. Like, that's the whole point. You know what I mean? So you go through this entire season. The whole point is a Twisted Metal tournament. There has to be a winner. Thank God there actually was a winner, because for a time it wasn't looking very likely, because Quiet was alive, but she wasn't in a car, right? So she wasn't going to win that. So, okay, Stu wins. Great. We get his wish. Perfect, just tying it all up. And then you resolve that within like 10 minutes. So that was a big issue. Okay, but moving on from that, the ending, to really quickly focus on like the cabin stuff, I think that was just so many emotional things, like back to back to back. I love that family dynamic. And again, that's where you get, okay, Mayhem feels a part of the group. So good. And just like the fun things they did with each other, or like teaching her how to read. And it's like, I think the actress is like 21 or so, but like the character is, I think, supposed to be more of like a teenage age. But like having somebody like that who's got kind of that swagger that she has, and it's like she's trying to read, the book that completed John's collection, right? Which was awesome. And he uses that book to teach her how to read. That was perfect. It was just like, you're treating her like she's 4 or 5 years old, but she's not. Teaching her how to fish, and then by the end of that segment, they're all just shooting the water with a gun. I mean, that was perfect. It really was. And for a time, I thought, you know what? If they want to end here, like Calypso's still out there. Like, he bombed the insiders watching his tournament. He did say like this is kind of where the games start. Like this is only the beginning. So he's got like another trick up his sleeve. But if you really wanted to like end the show, if it was like a finale, a series finale, if you wanted to do that with the cabin, you probably could have, because you had like this perfect family thing. Of course, though, good things aren't meant to last. So we get the Calypso message, and I do love that. I love where they're going. I think, and I read an interview with the creators and showrunners and stuff where they talked like, okay, you can't do a tournament again. In fact, they said they don't want to do a tournament again. That's fair. You can't really do it again. You've killed off characters, like I said. But you also can't say, okay, well, we're just going to do it another time. In the games, it's different, and it kind of works better. But in a show, you just can't do that. So you have to one-up yourself. Well, what do? Well, a war is a series of tournaments, if you think about it, if you twist it that way. So that's what they're going for. A war of cities, a war of insiders versus outsiders, and having them be framed, right? That they were the ones who did it all. And now you have your group, right? You have kind of that 4-person squad. Quiet talks about getting help, but John says, really, we just need cars. Still, I mean, you need drivers for those cars. So you have like that potential for returning characters, new characters. That's where Axel, of course, come back in, right? Stuff like that. Then you have Sweet Tooth doing his own thing. So you have Sweet Tooth and his dad. That is so cool. So cool. And I think even in the interview they talked about, like, yeah, season 3, he's not really on a side Sweet Tooth. He's really going to kind of go to through his own journey, okay, which I think is cool. And as long as you keep Sweet Tooth in that show, I think it's going to be perfect anyway. And really, to end it, and I don't know if they did this just for me. Maybe they've seen my videos. Look, I've said, like, here and there, and if you guys have made it this far, you might know me better than other people. Smashing Pumpkins is my favorite band, okay? They've been my favorite band for a very long time. Seen them live, have so many things of theirs, love them. And to end the season on Smashing Pumpkins' Disarm, beautiful song, okay? I mean, it's a biasness, beautiful song, but also fits so perfectly because of the tone, because of the message, you know, of why Billy Corgan, you know, what that song actually means. So good, like that. And in the interview I was reading, they said, like, he had that song picked from the beginning. He knew that this season was going to end on that song. Sounds like he's a fan of Smashing Pumpkins. Sounds like he's a fan of Disarm. Love it. I mean, that actually couldn't have been more. I even told she doesn't care, my wife, but I said, oh my dear God, Smashing Pumpkins. So I thought that it ended it so beautifully, you know, and to kind of do the rapid fire of, you know, showing people where they're at and doing that after credit thing and going back and forth. So good. So good. I mean, this show, it didn't really even surprise me, okay, because season 1 surprised me. Season 1, I thought, it doesn't look good, and how are you going to do? I'm always generally against adaptations of games. I really am. But the thing that this show does, guys, is, and we've said it over and over, right? It's those big over-the-top moments, sure, but it's also those characters and that emotion. I mean, whether it's that family dynamic of the 3 of them in the cabin, again, you could have ended it there, would have been so perfect. Those are moments that make the show. Sweet Tooth's just persona, you know, makes the show. Calypso, oh my dear God, Calypso steals every freaking scene he's in, right? There's so many good things with this show that you wouldn't even think about, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago. You couldn't have even thought of it, right? But these guys did. So kudos to them. They did such a phenomenal job. I really think this is... I'll just be honest. To me, it's the best gaming adaptation thing we've ever gotten. I mean, I loved Fallout, and Fallout might, like, maybe statistically be better. But, I mean, just in terms of pure passion, I do love the games. I love the games a lot. I probably like Fallout more, though, so I don't know. We go back and forth. But, I mean, I really think this is probably the best because it just, and also the budget. Again, like, this is not a big-time thing. Imagine this with, like, a Halo budget or a Fallout budget or a Peacemaker. But, like, imagine it with that would be, I think, maybe even better. But at the same time, maybe not because it takes away, that might take away from what makes the show so good. You know, 2 characters just talking in the show doesn't cost them a lot of money. They kind of have to have those moments in it, and they nail it every single time. It's sometimes the best part of each of these episodes. So I think this is better than The Last of Us. I think this is better than the Uncharted movie. I think this is better than Fallout. I think this is better than all of them. And I don't know. That's just a biasness maybe to me. I just finished watching it, but I think they freaking nailed it. And also, I didn't even mention the whole Krista minion thing. That was cool. Think again, that was maybe a little bit rushed, but I like the fact that you're using her. I like the switcheroo where in the beginning, you know, she remembers him and his past, but he doesn't remember her, and now it's the opposite. She's still in there, you can tell, but she doesn't, you know, she can't connect the dots, obviously, because of whatever, you know, situation's going on. But so much to explore in season 3. Absolutely loved it. And based off the interviews I was reading, he said he has ideas for both season 3 and a season 4. So I imagine, like, getting close to Kill Calypso in season 3, and then season 4, maybe you actually do. In the games, that doesn't go so well, right? I mean, Calypso is very tough. So I like the idea of kind of going up against this god, quite literally. And I don't know what you can really do there, but I'm sure they will figure it out. So loved it to death, and I'm really sad actually to see it go. If we have to wait like another it was 2 years, almost to the day, 2 years from season 1 to season 2. I can wait. I don't really want to, but I will. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and hope to see you all on the next one.